Hey, look who's with me again. It's Mark Goldbridge from the United Stand, and this time, again looking at United, I want to chat about Ronaldo and Bale. Mark, very simply, it's going to do what it says on the tin this show. Ronaldo or Bale at United. And you know what? Let's start with just by going straight to you and asking your opinion on that. If you could pick United to sign one of the two this summer, which one would it be?
It would be Ronaldo. I'm not going to hesitate on that because for people who remember Ronaldo at United, you get a lot of this Salah talk and he's been great, but Ronaldo was on a different level even at United. You only get one life, and Ronaldo back at Manchester United is fairy tale stuff. So on a personal level, it would always be Ronaldo. I do see a lot of United fans saying, no, he's had his chance, this, that and the other, and I wonder whether they actually were old enough to remember United in his prime at United. Ronaldo in his prime at United. So it would always be Ronaldo. There's a massive feeling of romance to that for me. But on top of that, I still think he's the best player in the world. And he's got 2-3 years left in him. So I would take that. And Bale's very injury prone. So the age for me doesn't come into it, even though it's a 4-year gap.
Everyone else in the world right now, Mark's just said he thinks Ronaldo's the best player in the world. Just at Messi, at Mark Goldbridge to him, just so that he can feel that on his timeline. You know it's going to happen. You know it's going to happen. Whenever I say it, it happens. Let's have a look at them, because they both issued to come and get me, please. Bale sort of stood out. Yeah, one wonder goal and one... don't know what to call that. But Ronaldo was very quiet in the Champions League final, but both came out afterwards and really questioned their own futures. Ronaldo's stats this season, get this right. So we're looking at a guy's 33 years old. 46 games, 45 goals, 8 assists. Gareth Bale is 28, 29 soon, 40 games, 24 goals, 4 assists. Of course, Bale sort of didn't play as many, had the injury at the start of the season, he's out for quite a few weeks. It's still not a bad return now on both players. Does Ronaldo's age worry you a little bit?
You know what, it doesn't, because I think you look at Wayne Rooney finished at 30 and you look at the way Rooney looked after himself and the way Ronaldo looks after himself. I read something about a month ago that Ronaldo's they did tests on Ronaldo and his fitness and body mass is that of a 25-year-old. Now, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that because age will catch up with everybody. But I do think that Ronaldo can play till he's 36 at the top level. And remember, United signed Zlatan at 35. So if Zlatan can do it, Ronaldo certainly can. So I would actually argue, I think there's an argument that Ronaldo's body is probably in a better nick than Bale's. The only issue with Ronaldo is that he's not the player he was, in the sense he doesn't run past players like he used to. He's got to be providing service, whereas Bale's got that little bit more of something out of nothing, as long as Karius is in goal. Look, I would still take Ronaldo, but I suppose would Ronaldo want United based on the chances we create? Because he needs chances, and like you said, in the final he was very quiet, but he wasn't getting much service.
Yeah, no, that is true. And talking about his age, just straight up, I'll ask a question as it says on the piece of paper in front of me. Could Ronaldo damage his United legacy if he starts to deteriorate? Because it's a good point. It's a very, very good point. As a United fan, as I am, I remember I was there for his first ever goal against Portsmouth, and it's probably the moment of my life so far because that was the start of Ronaldo. That was the start of the player who United fans now all know and love. If you ask any United fan who grew up watching Ronaldo or had the privilege of watching the whole of Ronaldo properly for his United career, they will always tell you he's better than Messi, because we got to see Ronaldo at his absolute best and the difference he made not just on the ball but off the ball at United. His character, the way he treated the club, his love for Sir Alex, all of that. For me, it's a fairy tale. You're right, it's a fairy tale if he comes back. I'll tell you who I will go for in a second, Mark. But it's a good point on the deterioration, because his United legacy, we still sing about him week in, week out now. If he comes, he deteriorates, plays 2 seasons, not a lot of football, just takes home that big paycheck at the end. Could that ruin his legacy?
I think it's a great question as well, because I've got to be totally blunt, and
it's not often Mark Goldbridge struggles for words, by the way, let me just say to you.
Yeah, I think we all fall into that trap now. I think football has changed, certainly since Sir Alex Ferguson left, that maybe the patience we had and the belief we had has gone because of the evidence that we've seen. And I'm no doubt that at some point Ronaldo will deteriorate and fans will jump on him. That's what happened. But having said that, when I used to go and watch United many years ago, when Ryan Giggs was playing in his prime, I always say to everybody, Ryan Giggs used to get a lot of stick from the Old Trafford crowd. And you'll see it on Twitter if you ever mention that. A lot of older fans will go, yeah, I remember, because he'd lose the ball, this, that and the other. So maybe rose-tinted glasses little bit, but the modern way of football, of course, if he starts deteriorating the way United have over the last few years, he does need to take that into account as well. But again, the romantic in me says, oh, just bring him back. I'd be beaming, absolutely beaming.
It's like a choice of head or heart, isn't it? Because my heart 100% says Ronaldo. My head, with the way we're playing football, with what United need right now, the team is set up for Gareth Bale.
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
It's absolutely set up for Gareth Bale. He's still got another 4 good years left in him, maybe. Five good years left in him, maybe. Because we all know Bale doesn't just play out wide. He can play behind a striker, he can play up front, he can play left back, for Christ's sake. If he really wanted to, he can do that.
It's that something and nothing with Bale, which I don't think Ronaldo does 100%. As much now.
He had no right to have that shot that Karius flapped at. He had no right to hit it from there, but he hit the target. And I think that's what a lot of players... You can be the best player in the world and still shoot from where Bale did and not hit the target. But you give Bale that little bit of space, he will hit the target. You look at the majority of his goals for Tottenham in his last season, and the majority of them are right in the corner, whether it's bottom, top, left, right. It was just right under the crossbar even. Everything was so precisely placed. The guy is just so accurate. And you mentioned about injuries. He's come out and said, actually, he's been fit all season apart from the 6 weeks at the start of the season he was out. It's just Zidane hasn't played him. For me, United need a right winger. Bale has played the majority of his games for Madrid out on the right wing this season, and he's played quite well when he's played there. It was a shock for Madrid fans when he didn't start the Champions League final because they thought he was playing fantastically over the last 4 or 5 games of the season. So for me, look, Ronaldo, the question marks, where would he play? They're my question marks. The question marks will also be, what will that do to Rashford? What will that do to Martial? For me, Ronaldo kicks them both out of the club. Rashford on loan and Martial wherever. But for Bale, for me, that right wing needs a player. United need a leader. United need a big game player. Bale wants to be a big player in a big club. United's perfect for him. And we are probably one of 2-3 teams that can afford him. So for me, Mourinho says that he doesn't want to chuck all of his budget at Bale. I say chuck all your budget at Bale, because as long as you're outscoring teams, you're doing all right. And I think that's what United have forgotten last season. So for me, personally, I would go Gareth Bale. But Mark, I am 150% know what you're saying about Ronaldo. Especially, you can't ignore that. 33 years old, he's been playing left wing, 46 games, 45 goals. That Champions League run, you don't say no to that, do you? You just don't say no to that. It's as simple as that.
No, and I just wonder whether Ronaldo would say no to it simply because we don't create many chances and he needs...
His mum wants it for him.
Yeah, his mum wants
it for him. His mum's come out and said it.
I would go Ronaldo. Nothing would change. I don't think there's any player I would take over Ronaldo because it's just got so much attached to it. If he'd never played for United, I think it might be a little bit different. But I do agree that Ronaldo will need service. Bale doesn't need service to make something happen. And I think actually when you look at United at the moment, we do need a player who can produce something out of nothing when the chips are down, when the heads have dropped. And Bale, Ronaldo used to give you that. That's what he gave you at United. We were a bit of a one-man team at times, but he's not that player anymore. Whereas Gareth Bale can't stand up front and score 40 goals. That's not what he's about. Gareth Bale will score all sorts of goals out of creativity. And the interesting thing is,
we get either.
Yeah, we take either, and if you get one, who goes, and what do you pay for each? We've not spoken about price. I mean, what do you pay? Very interesting summer ahead.
We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. And in John Motson fashion, just imagine this, Mark. You ready? Alexis to Bale to Lukaku, goal. Alexis to Lukaku to Ronaldo, goal. It's exciting either way you look at it. Just quickly, a quick summary there, Mark. You said Ronaldo, I've said Bale. Both players we would both break our arms and legs for to bring them to United. Any money in the world, we don't mind. But what difference would either or make to challenging City next season at United?
I think a lot would come down to fitness. So if we assume that they're both fit for the same amount of games, I think Gareth Bale is a match winner on his own. So you would hope against the Huddersfields and the Newcastles he'd produce something. Ronaldo, we'd score a lot more goals because that's what he does. I think they'd both close a gap on Manchester City, but I still think a lot would depend on the team around them because one individual can't win you a title. Even Salah's shown that, and I've never seen a team so one-dimensional, which isn't a bad thing. I think they'll both close the gap on City, but can they close 19 points? I think United still need, and interesting you're saying about the whole budget on Bale, I still think United need at least 2 midfielders and a centre-back.
Exciting times. Mark, thank you very much. Go check out the United Stand. Keep doing what you're doing, mate, and hopefully we get you on, definitely before the season starts, but also over the summer as well. Thank you, mate.
Cheers, pal. Thank you.